cascading errors into the next one. And so little things that I've done for years cascaded on me and caused additional challenges. But so for instance, I was trying to short circuit some time, literally. I was trying to shorten some time by using individual resistors on three LEDs, thinking that that would be the same. And the voltages were all screwed up, and I worked over and over and over again and pulled it. Finally, I went back to the old process where each individual LED bulb got its own resistor, and then I wired 5 volts to it, and it worked like a charm. So the cascading process, I think that has a lot to do with resistors and current and voltage. And I'm just not an engineer, not at all, and the electronics were far beyond me at that point. So, which is fine, learning again, as we say. On the nacelles, I went through the first layer of paint here, and I just pulled off my mask to keep that clean. Thank you, Lou. We'll put that back in. On the nacelles, the first layer of paint revealed that I had some pretty deep scratches, and I had some pretty deep sanding marks, and I had some putty buildup. So I sanded those another shot, and I'll throw another coat of paint on those, and we'll sand out some of the divots and give that another shot. But again, just things that normally wouldn't take hardly any time have taken far, far longer to do at this point. The other thing that I'm working on is learning to use Lou's mask, and I've kind of done a hybrid between HD Orbital Dry Dock's mask and Lou's mask, and it's gonna work, but my first time through it caused some challenges here that I'm going to show you, and I'm going to recover as well as I can, and we'll come back to it on the next piece and make a process. So normally with Lou's mask, I would pull off each individual piece here and then place it. And then I watched the Orbital Dry Dock's process and decided to go out and buy some of this Frisket film. It's all-purpose masking film. This is a .002 thickness, clear, low-tack, removable film. And so what I did was cut out a piece of the Orbital Dry Dock on this internal pylon, cut that out, and then put the tape over the top of it, which worked great. It transferred the entire thing over, and it even left me with my little mask that's going to go on the inside of this eventually. But what I didn't do, and I should have done, and I'm not sure if this is going to come through, once it was on the tape and before I transferred it all to there, I should have taken off the pieces that were going to be off of there, because when I tried to put it on and pull all that off at the same time, it caused my rips in the paint, and so that's going to be a problem. But it is what it is, and I'll work better on the other pylon as it comes through. But I think this is going to be a rousing success once I figure out how to do that process. So this was the first time through, and getting that Frisket film was a huge, huge time saver in the long run. Now again, and I think it's going to work. I just have to look, but I'm really pleased with the way that applied to that. And then I have to do the other side, and then a little bit over the top of the saddle here, and then that will get the coat of the paint that I want to spray for my overall look. This is the darker paint that's on here, and then I've got some really light paint that's going to go on next. So that is in the works. Here is the assembled shuttle bay, and what I did is I took a little piece of clear plastic and glued that to the bottom of it and cut it out, and that slides into the saddle, and actually it'll fit under there, something like that. And light should come up underneath that piece right there, and that will shine from here. I do have to add another light in the secondary hull that will essentially, I think, kind of attached to here, and once it's attached to there, you're going to see light come in. So that's not showing up on the screen, but nonetheless, that is the plan. And then I currently have the shuttles primed in the other room and ready for spray, and then this is also ready to go in when it comes time for that. So that has come back from a rousing failure of the first one that I did, and this is going to be much nicer in the long run. So that was another failure and then recouped into the success process. So my wiring was off because I was trying something new. That didn't work well. My paint is coming along, but I was trying something new here with even that process here, and I didn't do the body work like I should have. So but we are making progress. Now, the nice thing that one of the things I do like about this is that even amongst this white paint, the blue lights in here against the white paint. Before, we just had the white plastic, but I think the blue, when it comes up, is going to look like $1,000,000 under these nacelles. So, yeah, come on, there we go. So what I've got here, you see that blue has really come in very nicely under here. It's come in, you can see it peeking through there, you can see it peeking through my mask underneath there, and on that side, so you can see kind of some of that in the works. And okay, so we're cooking along with that stuff. Good news there. This is going to look dynamite. That piece of blue in there and that clear is going to look dynamite. And then my two lights that are shining down the pylon on the outside, same thing. And even those are shining right now, and they're covered with liquid mask. And when I peel that liquid mask away, that's going to look great. So on this first half of the update number 4, setbacks and progress. This literally has been the hardest working model I've ever put together, not because of the model, but because I'm trying these new skill sets, and just some of the way that it goes together is also a real challenge in the long run. I do have the sensor dome or the sensor dish. I have the photo etch part for that, and it is in prime right now, and then we'll paint that black, and then once it's painted black, it's going to be a bit of a challenge to glue it down, but I think it's going to be okay. And that's going to be really nice because this has a really nice blue glow coming in it from the secondary hull. Now, let me just say that I really like these masks once I kind of got the idea of how to do it from blue, and I think we're going to be in great shape when that is all said and done. So for now, I'm going to leave you with this first half of update number 4. And when we come back, we'll have the hull out of primer. We'll have the secondary hull painted with its original base coat. And we'll have the little tiny shuttle base painted. And we'll have this photo etch painted black, or really dark blue. I think I'm going to go with like maybe even an electric blue. And that'll look dynamite on top of all this. So for now, this is a Sloppy Modeler saying thank you for stepping in and watching. Thank you for sticking with me. I do have a new domestic situation, and I'm caring for a young man that needs to finish high school, which I'm thrilled to do, but it's all brand new to me, being a single, never married, no kids. Now to have a 17-year-old boy in the house is new, and it does take a bit of time and energy, so I will never complain to you parents again who go through that. But until then, this is the Sloppy Modeler saying thank you very much for watching, and we will be back with the second half of update number 4 on the JJ Prize, the U.S. Enterprise NCC 1701, the Star Trek Into Darkness flagship. Thank you so much. Okay, so hey, welcome back to the Sloppy Modeler, update number 4 on the USS Enterprise, the second half of update of number 4. And we might be just a short update here and then come back for a little more. I wanted to bring you up to speed on the actual secondary hull here. So as you can see, here's my base color, and it looks super white, but actually that's white. It's my wedding cake white. which is a bright white, and I'm not going to go dark gray with this. I didn't want to do that, but so it's this wedding cake white with about 20% pearl, and then about 3% gray is actually in here. But I'm really excited about the color. I think that is going to be good. So this is the base color, or this is the color that I'll lay over the mask like this. So what's here is actually this is the color that the mask would go over, and then everything else would be lighter. And so what's going to happen there is that when I lay on the mask, this dark will come through once the masks are peeled up, but I'm going to spray this with just a wedding cake and pearl, less pearl and no gray. So it'll be a bright white, or brighter white, when it comes into this particular piece here. But this has turned out really nice from a hull perspective. I'm really pleased with the paint, and this is nice plastic to work with. Again, definitely dealing with the challenges. This seam turned out really nice down here. That one's fine, and across the back looks great. Across the front looks good. So that seam is all done. And then on the primary hull, this has had its coat of primer put in, and so this is going to be, I'm going to do a little bit of wet sanding on a couple of spots that are rough here, and then lay on the same color that this hull is, and then that will be the base color underneath the mask. And then once that color gets masked off, and then I'll come back with the brighter white and be done with it. So for the most part, I'm pretty happy. I did have a real problem. My box that I built in here for these red lights on the impulse engine, that box was too tall. It was too tall, and as a result, this didn't clamp down well enough. So I had some real challenges putting all this together, and it was warped, and I had to clamp it and go back in. So this is not my best work. It's not even my close to it. But again, I'm just practicing with certain features and functions of masking and Aztecing, and we'll take the warts with the nicety as it is. But I am pleased with this primer that's come together. I did go with Badger airbrushes, Styrolese or whatever they call it, and it sprays nice rather than using the paint out of the grocery store that's a primer. I think this is going to work a lot nicer in the long run with this spray on through my airbrush. It uses significantly less primer, so it doesn't get nearly the buildup. I like the way that looks, and so I think that when we're ready is going to be a nice look underneath that. So that is the primary hull, and I've got to do some light sanding on this, and then we'll get its first color of base coat going on that. And then after that is done sanding, and then we'll start with the masking of the primary hull. And then now I'm ready to, I need to let this dry because it just has paint on it this evening, but once this dries, maybe over the weekend, then I can start putting mask on it that won't peel up. And I think we're going to be in good shape. I like the sheen that came with that, or came through that. So I think the color's fine, and I think we're going to be okay with putting on those masks as they sit. Again, this is going to be in here, and that is going to be, obviously we're going to have a seam to fill, so I'm not sure how that's going to come together, but we're going to work on it. I'm going to make it come together in the long run, and by sheer force of determination and will, we will get there with doing this particular Into Darkness. And after this is done, I might do another one, because this has been such a challenge with these new techniques. Like I said, one cascaded into the next. So as a result of that, I really want to make sure that we see progress on this, and then learn to do the techniques, and then we'll come back to another model and try those techniques again on something else. One thing I am going to be excited about is to see these lights light up the registry when those are all said and done, because that is going to look, I think it's going to look great with the way that those SMDs have been put in place. and we'll see about the other wiring and so forth. But for now, they're covered with a little spot of liquid mask. So this is more update on update number 4 of the USS Enterprise, and we'll be back for another update yet here with that update number 4. We'll be back with some more footage after we make a little more progress. But I wanted to show you the secondary hull and the primary hull along with the nacelles. I've got to go put a coat of paint on the nacelles, and that will take care of those ready for so they can dry and be ready for masking to give the Aztec paint on those pieces there. So with that, I will close, and we will talk to you again in a few minutes. Thanks. Alright, hey, welcome back to the Sloppy Modeler update number 4 on the USS Enterprise NCC 1701 Into Darkness. I think I'm getting that down pat. So here is the primered hull, and I have now gone through and sanded it. Thing I have left is I've used this liquid surface primer from Tamiya, and essentially I use that as a gap filler, and it works pretty good. So wherever you've got a big gap or a hole, went ahead and just brushed it on with a nice brush here, and you can see that it will at least put a layer in there, and then I've got another gap there and some more, but it's a way to fill that without using putty, and it works as a primer then. So I used a little 800 grit dry over the top and the bottom of the saucer, so it's going to be ready to put a coat of paint on there, and it's pretty decent. There's a couple of rough spots I got to touch up some more, but then I'll go around and sand that rim or the edge of the saucer there, and like I said, we're just about ready for its first coat of base paint on that, and that will get us moving towards the Aztecing on the primary hull. In the secondary hull, you can see that we've got our coat of paint on this. The base paint now is done, and now it leaves the next item is to Aztec this. We'll lay on the Aztec mask from Aztec Dummy, and then once that is on, spray my white coat over the top of that, and then go into the detail painting. Now there are some nice decals that go with this. That'll go here and up the side of that turbo lift, obviously. Same on this side, turbo lift there, and a few other nice spots. So I'm not sure how much actual painting of that. There are decals, I believe, that go onto the side of the pylon, both the interior and the exterior. There's another one that'll go in there. And so I think that I'm going to use those decals rather than try to paint all that on with extra taping. If I can get these Aztec paint job onto this, and that's a big if I can do that, then I'm not going to try to tape over it to tape off these areas, right? So that's kind of the next plan, is to get the Aztec mask onto this, and then spray it with my bright white coat. This has got a bit of gray in it, and then once that's sprayed in, then take those masks off, and then start maybe looking at what detail paint I need to do and what I've got for decals. And I've got 2 sets of decals, and I think I'm going to reserve the set of decals for that I got from Cameron's decals. I'm going to reserve that for a second USS JJ prize, because I think I want to do this again. This one has been such a massive set of setbacks over and over and over again that it's definitely not going to be my best work. And now I just want to practice on it, see if I can get some of these things done. But I would like to do this maybe even as a static model, not even light it up, but put it together and use those decals, or put lights in it real quick and then use the decals, and maybe go a little more authentic on the lighting on the next one, having had the experience with this one. So we'll see, but that's just kind of a long way off, and for right now we're going to put those decals way back into storage, and we'll take those out after some more time. So primary hull is now almost primered and done, and then like I said, I need to have that surface primer set up a little bit. Once that's set up, I'll get that sanded, and then we'll start getting coats of paint on this, in order to bring this into the base coat, and then we'll go from there. So with that, I'm going to bring this update number 4 to a close. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your subscriptions and shares and likes, and thank you for your comments. I had one on the Robbie the Robot versus just Robot, the B9, and I was able to be educated a little bit on that. Thank you very much. And you know, it's those kinds of things that I didn't really necessarily grow up watching Lost in Space and Forbidden Planet. Those were just ahead of my time, quite honestly. So, and I haven't seen a lot in the reruns. So basically what I've caught here and there from different YouTube videos and Blu-rays, etc. I am more familiar with Star Trek, but again, I'm not a super Revell counter fan. I just enjoy the ships, and I enjoy the actual shows and movies. So thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing. And we will be back with you with update number 5, where I think maybe we'll start to see color on the primary hull, and maybe some Aztecing on the secondary hull. So until then, I hope you go out and enjoy building something. This is a Sloppy Modeler signing off. Thank you.